I hate any and all insects. I just can't do it. I really can't. I can't do spiders. It's just like the fear that they're gonna like bite me and lay eggs in me or something.
That is my snake Celeste, and she is the sweetest thing I've ever met, and is the only sane person in my household.
Do you have anxiety?
Yes I do. Clinically diagnosed, so, yeah.
I do have anxiety.
Do you have anxiety?
Yeah, I do have anxiety. Minesweeper, if you don't know how it works, you're gonna lose the game. Every little mistake feels like it can blow up on you. It really forces you to learn rules that it doesn't tell you outright. And I find that's really equivalent to like social situations, honestly. There's rules that nobody tells you that are there, that everybody pays attention to. You know, that kind of ties into the working title, for now, of the documentary, which is Minefield.
My mom was a single mother who worked full-time. She was a bartender, so I was often at a lot of different people's houses, which meant there were different rules depending on the house. There were different customs or situations. They had different kitchens. They had different places that they kept their cups. It was just a very intimidating situation to be in.
You knew this afternoon that you were making a bad impression, and you knew how easy it is not to be invited again.
There's a whole list of a million things that everybody does that isn't normal.
I've adopted multiple philosophies and strategies for dealing with anxiety.
I need very clear instructions. I need guidelines, outlines, anything that can help me understand something better so that I don't feel like I'm doing the wrong thing or not doing enough.
Do you have any strategies or philosophies that you use to deal with your anxiety?
Yes. I would say the main one I use is no one really thinks about you as much as you think they do, because everyone's too busy focusing on themselves.
I'm not important. The person that checked me out at the store isn't going to care that I stumbled over my words. It's not near as big of a deal to them as it was to me. I think the issue lies more with how boring their life is, that they're obsessing over this enough to care about it.
A family is a team that works together. And Tommy would like to be on that team.
My parents say that I like to make mountains out of molehills, that I like to make something out of nothing.
I feel like my family hasn't placed really any importance on anxiety.
Because my family takes mental health very seriously, it's seen more as a bigger deal and possibly a little more dramatic than just, oh, I would like to kind of get some help with this, but I don't currently need to be hospitalized.
So I feel as though by feeling these feelings of anxiety, I'm bringing this burden onto my parents.
If you're worrying about something, don't. It really doesn't help when I'm worrying about everything constantly.
There's always the irrational fear that someone's watching me. I just hold this intense, oops, I hit the microphone. I just hold this intense feeling that I'm not as good as I actually am. So I constantly push down my achievements. We are told from a very, very, very young age that your academics will impact your entire future. I would get a C on my spelling test, and I would be like, oh my God, I'm gonna be a failure. I'm gonna wind up without a job. I'm not gonna go to college. Everyone's gonna hate me because I got a C on my spelling test.
Now you see how it looks.
You were late for school this morning, but then you're almost always late, and you're guilty about it. More so because your lateness is habitual. You're in a rut with a bad habit.
There were high school counselors who told you what the rules were. And even if they weren't written down, everybody really knew, and you could almost read them out, cite them.
A place like school, it can be a very anxious environment. You need to get good grades. So much of the American school system is only caring about grades, but that's not all that anxiety can really be. It can be something as you dropping your pencil on the floor and feeling immense guilt and terror at not knowing if the sound that it made was too loud, if people are going to think you're annoying, if you have to lean down and pick it up, are you gonna look weird? Just little things like that spiral out of control. And for me, it's about anything and everything. By the end of school, most days I am exhausted. I don't have the energy to do anything. I kind of just sit there, and if I'm lucky, I feel good enough to watch TV or do something like that.
This boy and girl coming home from school look quite content with life.
I think that there are a lot of expectations put on young children, a lot of gender stereotypes that aren't healthy.
Here's to the ladies, the fair and the weak. Altogether, a few ounces at a time, she exerts more than 5 tons of pressure on her dainty fingertips.
The color of the shorts the boys wear is determined by their ratings on performance charts.
After all, the way we look exerts so much influence on the way we feel and on the way other people feel about us that it really is very important.
I've also tended to really enjoy makeup and things like that. It's really empowering and feels great to have on. I have been identifying as trans woman for about 6 months now. I've been going by Nadia for a couple months now. Yep. A big part of my anxiety is having a just constant feeling of ever-present dread, but also that constant feeling of all of my friends secretly hate me. Having validation and things that my friends are actively doing to make me feel better really helps deal with that. Having support is really nice to have when you feel bad.
Finally, his folks sent him to see me. There wasn't anything physically wrong with him that I could find, so I began to talk with him. If you've got something on your mind, Tommy, why don't you talk about it?
I really try to self-reflect a lot. I try to look at my actions objectively as a person and say, well, is that worth being anxious about? Is that worth being nervous about?
I found that adding on to strategies that I've talked about, I tend to put myself in extremely difficult situations because it really makes normal situations feel easier after that. You are aware that this is probably going to go on PBS, which is broadcast to millions of people.
Yes.
Does that scare you at all?
I am a little anxious. I mean, why wouldn't you be? It is a film on PBS. I mean, unless you're like Morgan Freeman, but I'm not Morgan Freeman.
If you try, really try, you can root out the poor, accidental habits and establish in their place the good habits approved by custom, accepted by society.
I'm not really worried about other people's decisions. I just want to be able to make my own.